This is referee Dan Perch, and come celebrate pro wrestling right here on the Sit Down Marks podcast.
Hey, yo.
If I can be serious for a minute.
Oh, yeah. Acknowledge me. What it is. What's happening, everybody? Welcome. Episode number 143 of the Sit Down Marks podcast, man. We're glad to be here. We're glad that you're here because today we're going to be talking about the current state of wrestling here on the podcast here in the Dropkick discussion. But before we do, let's get to a few things. But first of all, let me introduce my panel of marks today. Primo, the OG, obviously always with me. And you know, I talked about on last pod, you're going to be seeing this guy a lot more. He's back, man. Dylan, he's back for good, man. Welcome back, brother. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Y'all got me now. You can't get rid of me. Stick with me forever.
That's right, man. Welcome addition to the pod, man. I want to thank everybody watching on YouTube and Facebook, and thank everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, all those podcast platforms out there. Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2025. Welcome to all our new listeners. You know, we've had a lot of new listeners jump on board lately and checking out the podcast, and we really do appreciate it, man. And we want to thank all our loyal listeners, man, for always, you know, hanging with us and sticking with us and checking out the pod. You know, we're, you know, Primo, we're coming up on about 4 years here pretty soon, brother. 4 years of this
March.
podcast, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so thank you, Dylan. Welcome back. Happy New Year to everybody. We are back. We are actually back and better than ever this year in 2025. So you guys are going to see more of us than you did last year. We are reinvigorated. We are ready to go. We are ready to do some podcasts and ready to talk some wrestling. I want to give a quick shout out to while we were away for this past over the holiday, December, myself, I was part of a guest appearance on Fresh Blurred Air. It's a podcast here in DMV area where I live. Myself, Jay Young, and Todd, we were known as the Wrestling Collective on Black Thanos podcast. He was gracious enough to have us on. We talked about wrestling as far as rivalries. We talked backstage stuff. We talked social media. We talked a bunch about the state of wrestling, kind of like we're going to do today. So it's in the air talking about the state of wrestling. So I want to give a big shout out. Fresh Blurred Air. You can catch them on YouTube, Facebook, and any of your audio streaming platforms. Go give them a check. Go check them out.
Yeah, man, it is that season, man. So, yeah, thank those guys for having Primo on the pod, man. Appreciate it, and I'm gonna be on another pod too. We can talk about that at the end of the podcast. But I kind of wanted to rewind here real quick, though. You know, the podcast had we had a big 2024, the biggest growth that we've had. Primo, you know, congratulate Dylan. You know, AJ, Michael, you know, not here with us today, but. We passed 10,000 downloads, man. 10,000 downloads. That's pretty fucking cool, man. I know I was pretty happy about it. I know you were too. So we want to thank everybody. You know, if you've ever downloaded the podcast even once, you know, and if you downloaded more than that, thank you for coming back. You know, we really appreciate it. And so want to thank you to once again to all the new listeners, all the old listeners, man, ready for 2025. We're motivated more than ever. You know, my monthly interview series of interviewing independent wrestlers is going to continue. We got a lot of big things planned for 2025. So let's get to it, man. The reason why you're here is wrestling. All right, Primo, if you're ready, brother, let's get to the hot starts.
Let's go.
All right, 5 topics in wrestling right now in the hot start. Here we go. Let's talk about the big one, boys. You know, it's all over everywhere. You know, I think some of my deceased family knew that Raw was going to debut on Netflix, you know, as much as it was pounded in our heads, man. But, man, Raw on Netflix now, AEW's on Max now. Wrestling's kind of in this little transition of heading towards streaming, but, man, it was awesome, man. Let's talk about Raw on Netflix, though, for real. How'd you guys like it?
Raw on Netflix. Think about it. I mean, I had a buddy of mine reach out to me, and they basically said, you know, we got Raw on Netflix, like you said, AEW on Max. There's no reason to not be a
Yeah.
wrestling fan right now.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's in your face. People that never. I went to work this past week, or last week, excuse me, and I said, "Hey, did you guys know that wrestling is coming to, or WWE's coming to Netflix?" And one of my buddies who does not have anything to do with wrestling goes, "Yeah, I see it every time I open up Netflix." So it's like,
Right.
it's in your face now, and it's a big deal because it's like they kept saying over and over and over, it's worldwide now. It's not just in certain regions. So it's getting a big customer base now, and it's just gonna keep growing.
Right.
Yeah, we're the cool kids now. We're the mainstream. It's not the hiding, in your mom's basement type thing. We're front page of Netflix. You have no choice but to watch us.
Right. Yeah. It's like a resurgence, man. Like, we're taking over these streaming platforms, and like they used to make fun of us, and and now it's all in your face, right? And kind of making you want to excuse me, kind of making you want to, check out what's going on. But, let me highlight a few things of what happened on Raw, and things are happening different in wrestling. Things are happening for different for us too, because the product that we see is changing. How you're saying, well, there's going to be logos on a canvas now. It's going to be looking like a boxing ring now. You know what I mean? So that's a big deal. But let's talk about that opening, though, man. That opening was just amazing. I love the curtains that went all the way up. Papa H welcomes us all in, you know what I mean? And we're like jazzed up, man, like risen, ready to go, right? You know what I mean? And, and the referees are wearing these black shirts now. Like, I don't know if that's just going to be a Netflix thing, you know what I mean? So, shout out to Chad Patton, by the way. He got the initial match from Champaign, Illinois, not far from me. So that was cool. We saw Roman beat Solo. That was, this match was awesome, led right off. Rhea beat Liv, regained the title. Undertaker comes out and they roll out together. So it was kind of little something extra. So that was super cool. We can talk about this, Punk beating Rollins all day long, man. There's a lot to unpack there, you know what I mean? But like, it definitely felt like a different show, you know what I mean? I love the entrance kind of with the 360 degree, like I always thought I'd be a big fan of the huge stages, and I always will, right? Like we always loved the pay-per-views and how awesome the stage used to look, but this looked cool too, man. This was a really cool, 360 degree look with the ring. Yeah, it just felt different. I did feel like we got a little robbed. They didn't do as many surprises and stuff as I kind of thought they would. Like, you know what I mean? But still, I was pretty jazzed up. And honestly, like when it got time for Punk and Rollins, I was like, oh wow, we're here already. Like, man, because it went by pretty quick. So, but overall, this was awesome, man. What jumped out at you guys is like the biggest parts of like what you remember from that night.
That opening video package, the cold open video they did,
Dope.
That was just incredible, man. Like I watched it earlier in the day when they posted it online. Got chills, may have had a tear or two. It's like they, put it just perfectly how awesome this pro wrestling business is. I really did not enjoy The Rock's promo. It was very much, like a corporate Dwayne. Welcome everybody to our show. We're going to put on a great show. Thanks for being here. Thanks for helping us get to Netflix. And for some reason, hey, Cody Rhodes is in the front row. Shout out Cody. Let's go. It was just a complete disconnect. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
And kind of like you said about the surprises, all the surprises were just people in the crowd. It wasn't any run-ins. It was like, oh, hey, Undertaker's here. Oh, Rey Mysterio's in the crowd. Our tag champs are in the crowd. But I did really enjoy all the matches. The Punk Rollins match was really good. I really liked Roman Solo. Overall, it was good. I liked it. I'm excited to see how it goes moving forward because that first show, it was special. All the celebrities, the big first time. I'm excited to see once they get into the weekly groove on Netflix how everything plays out.
Yeah, so it's not good. So big takeaway for me right away. I came into it thinking this, like they were going to try to make it like a mini PLE, but at the same time, it's not going to be moving forward. Like, and everybody needs to understand that first show was to capture the audience that has never watched it before.
Right.
So there's that aspect of it. So I'm same as Dylan. I'm ready to see like next Monday and the Monday after that, whenever they're like, okay, we're back to the races of what we were usually seeing, but how is that with your new production? That's going to be cool. So as far as this show goes, I did think it was weird that we had current active wrestlers in the audience,
Yeah.
especially like Cody Rhodes, all that stuff. I called it out in a video that I made about The Rock. He thought he was being too nice. Not too long ago, just right after WrestleMania, said him and Cody Rhodes were gonna meet, but not in this way. So
Yeah.
Right.
anyway, I will say that first match went the way I wanted it to go.
Acknowledge me.
So as it should, OTC. Then I knew that with these shows, you're going to know that they're going to want to make at least one of the matches something big happen. So obviously the women's title changed hands, which, I mean, yeah, cool. That was cool. Hey, I'm not going to hate on that at all.
Right.
And the main event was good. I still don't think it should have happened on Monday Night Raw. They should have milked that until WrestleMania before they ever touched the first time.
Yeah. I feel like now we're going to get a string of matches like the cage match.
Now it's going to be a whole like this
match
ain't over, blah blah blah, back and forth. It could have they could have kept us at the edge of our seat before they ever actually locked up. Anyway, I digress. I thought it was overall good. I'm excited to see what comes next.
Right. All right, topic number 2, boys. So the recent PWI just came out, and they rated the top 100 tag teams. Did you guys see what happened to be number 1? I was not happy about this one. All right, so your number 1 in PWI, Bianca and Jade. All right, now,
What?
Here's proof. Yeah, here's proof for everybody at home right there. Yeah, Frank's coming in at number 2.
Male and female?
Yeah. This is all top 100s.
Wow.
Yeah. This is probably the one they've gotten the worst wrong in history. You know what I mean? Like, they had the Bucks at 4.
Not to be rude, but I wouldn't even put them in the top 10.
No.
I wouldn't even put them in top 25. They ain't even really been together that long.
Yeah,
they haven't been together that long. Yeah, with these in the women's, like, I don't know. It just like
I don't dislike them, but there are tag teams out there that are just amazing.
Oh, I know. There's so many other options. Like, you don't even have to throw them out there. Like, you know what I mean? Because I don't know. I just kind of thought they totally got this one wrong, man.
What's the grading period from like? It's like a certain amount of months, right, throughout the year.
Yeah. So they probably had to cut it off to. And then make the decision and, the publication to come out, that kind of stuff. But, I don't know. I thought this one's way wild, like just out of left field.
Now, PWI is the one that's more like kayfabe, right? It's like the wins and losses matter and all of that.
Sure.
So, I mean, I guess I definitely wouldn't have voted for him number 1, but they probably had the titles most of the year. And I don't know that they've lost, more than 2 or 3 matches total.
Sure.
So if you went just like strictly by that, they probably have a case, but just off the top of my head, I wouldn't have had him in the top, like you said, 25, top 30.
No.
Wouldn't have even thought about it.
And nothing against them. It's just like, I'm just looking at the value of a tag team is what I'm looking at. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, just, I saw this and I was literally like a little shocked, but so anyway, all right. Topic number 3, boys. So TNA is rumored to be making cuts. They're going to be rumored to move into like a younger generation. I've heard a couple other people talk about this, but they need something. You know what I mean? But I don't know, what it is exactly. Now I'm hearing rumors that maybe Scott D'Amore might be leaving, and doing something with WWE. Maybe he already is. You know what I mean? So, that kind of stuff. But you think this would? What the question for this one is? You think? I mean, well, they just re-signed the Hardys, so that's not a going younger move. But what do you guys think? You think this would help if TNA, because they've always kind of been number 3, number 4. Maybe they were number 2 at one time. I don't ever really know if they were really ever number one.
They were never
you know
number
what I mean?
one, but they definitely had a solid second place for a while there.
Right.
I think that, I don't know, after 2014, 2015, their production really went down.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing. Their production just doesn't, it's not, and I've complained about that in the past. I think if they could their production could be amped up with their product, like what the product that they have as far as the talent and the matches they put on, stuff like that. I don't see why they wouldn't still be in the conversation.
Right.
No, I know they are losing a bunch of talent. Like Speedball didn't resign, Josh Alexander didn't resign.
Right.
That's two massive stars right off the top. So
you think Jordan's going to leave? Right. Probably.
Oh, she's got to.
You
would assume
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's another one, they're losing. So yeah. So I don't know, man. Like I just feel like they're constantly, going, just starting over, trying to things. So yeah, but all right. So, topic number 4, boys. I'm kind of excited about this one. If this one turns out to, so WWE's on Netflix, right? In case you heard, they're talking about having these new shows on there to develop Netflix, like their own content. They're talking about using these developmental program, possibly the WWE ID recruits, in this developmental show, possibly as part of Netflix. But so they're talking about, like, I've even heard, like, maybe Evolve coming back, and being, kind of, so this is going to be the new NXT to NXT, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be Evolve, to maybe feed NXT and all these other ones. But and I guess will help develop talent later on too. So I love this kind of shit. Like, I love, like, all those old FCW shows and stuff on I about said WWE Network, but but I love all that stuff, man. I think this would be a good idea, and this would kind of like be something that all right, cool. This kind of makes a little more sense with this WWE ID if they kind of do this kind of show. Would you guys be interested in watching something like that?
Oh, absolutely. I love Tough Enough. I love anything like that. I remember when they did the what was that called? It was like behind the scenes NXT thing they did. But yeah, exactly.
I know what you're talking about.
Right. But that was cool too. So I eat that stuff up.
Yeah. I always dug that.
It's funny you talk about art. They're already coming out with new shows. I walked in here the other day, and one of the mini primos was in here watching, and it had like the best top 10 championship changes on Raw. And I was like, where'd you watch? He's like, oh, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I was like, and it was Big E hosting it, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So they already got stuff out there.
I saw they had, cause I was looking to see what old episodes of Raw was on Netflix.
Yeah, they have like a vault channel or something.
It kind of threw off my old watching when Raw left Peacock. Had to figure out when to watch everything.
I wondered about that.
So they have just a handful right now. But I did see a bunch of like different superstar profile shows, and like you were saying, the top title wins, and just some like very short. I think they were all like 5 or 10 minutes max. But at least they have extra stuff on there.
Yeah.
Is there a timeline as far as like when the catalog is going to leave Peacock?
I'm not sure. I know internationally it already has. It's all on Netflix internationally. But here in the U.S., I don't remember how long the Peacock contract ran.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see like how far those stay on there.
Another interface for us to get used to.
Yeah. Like I said, they'll start out with Raw. SmackDown will probably be on it eventually too. I mean, that's a lot.
I didn't go back and check though when Raw ended. Was there an instant replay?
I believe so.
Okay.
If not immediate, it was pretty close.
Well, I know I watched it the next morning. Yeah, I watched it the next morning. Yeah. So that'll be new and cool. Usually don't have to. Wasn't there like a couple week gap before they usually put Raws on Peacock or whatever? Yeah.
They used to have that deal with Hulu where it was next day.
Yeah. All right, boys. Topic number 5 in the hot start. AEW's had a lot of wrestling going on lately. New Japan's had a lot of wrestling going on lately. AEW's had World's End. New Japan's had Wrestle Kingdom, Dynasty, all that kind of stuff. So, what have you watched lately on there, Dylan? This, that's really got you. I mean, obviously, like, I'm super pumped Omega's back. That gives them a little shot in the arm, I think, if they do this right. You know what I mean? And Okada winning the tournament was cool. I feel like there's a small little Jay White little rise kind of going, maybe, so I'm definitely interested. But what are you seeing lately?
Yeah, Jay White's definitely simmering. You can tell
Yeah.
it's starting to heat up. Not boiling yet, but we're starting. If you go back to the AEW pay-per-view, both Osprey matches, the Osprey Fletcher was the semifinal, and then Osprey Okada was the final. And I was like, man, they're throwing out Osprey Okada, no advertisement, nothing. Like, we're getting it. They were both awesome. And then, Kenny showing up right after to present Okada the belt. That had me in the feels. That got some chills going. And then I did watch New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom and the Wrestle Dynasty show they did. Overall, I thought they were both just okay.
Yeah.
The Kenny Omega Gabe Kid match, I'll get it right. They tore it down. It was sick. Takeshita, both nights. Takeshita Shingo was Wrestle Kingdom, and Takeshita Ishii was on the Dynasty show.
Yeah.
They're both incredible. Must see. Anything Takeshita does is usually pretty incredible.
Yeah,
that's probably the highlights for me.
Yeah. I thought Statlander and Mercedes, was good. Like, I was really into it, man. And I feel like Mercedes kind of turning on lately. She's got like 4 belts now. Speaking of belts, it was a little nostalgic, kind of cool to me to see the Bucks holding the IWGP tag titles again. I kind of thought I didn't know if I'd see that again. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a little throwback, like to the old days. But yeah, I'm excited for that, man, because like you said, like, it feels like there's a little simmer going on with Jay. I'm seeing his face a little more. He's coming out he's been doing a little by himself a lot lately.
Yeah.
So I'm really starting to, like, really, get on board. So, all right, boys, let's wrap it up, man. Hot start is over. Primo, if you're ready, man, it's time to get to the drop kick discussion. But first, let's hear from our boy, Big Beef.
This is Big Beef, and you're tuned in to Sit Down Marks with AJ, Dirty Bird, and you know him, Primo. Check it out.
That's right.
Our boy Big Beef lost the AAW title to Matt Riddle. Was a couple weeks ago. Wasn't happy with that one, but man, I was excited he got to be the champ for a little while, man. So hopefully he gets another run. So shout out to Big Beef, man. He's all over the place right now.
It's an OG friend of the pod.
Yeah. All right, Primo, drop kick discussion. It's time to talk about what we're going to talk about. I knew you liked that one. The current state of wrestling, our boys. So, obviously, we talked about it earlier, like wrestling's transition into streaming, and it's in the forefront. We're the cool kids. I love that, Dylan. You know what I mean? Like, everybody wants, everybody's paying attention and watching wrestling and stuff now. And starting to ask you questions about, kind of like what's going on, so what we did was we took, I think it was, the eight or nine top promotions, and we're going to count the indies in there too, and just, throw out some highlights of some stuff that's going on. We're going to talk about the news and notes of each promotion, who the owners are, in some cases we'll talk about attendance and storylines, what makes that promotion what it is, and the buzzworthy of it, what is it, contributing to wrestling. We're looking at wrestling as a whole here, today, not, necessarily just like, not necessarily just like, a certain promotion or, or whatever, it's as a whole, everybody thriving, that kind of deal. So, all right. So, we're gonna go over each promotion real quickly and discuss, and obviously too, how was their 2024? So, sorry, I was prepared. There, I'm prepared. All right, let's start at the top, Primo. Dylan, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Shay's here. I mean, Primo's here. Fuck.
Okay. I think I might have lost Dylan. Hopefully he'll come back. All right. So Raw on Netflix, right? You know, obviously the big WWE deal. SmackDown's still on USA.
Yep.
Peacock is streaming right now too with WWE. So there was a big NBC company taking on wrestling at one point. WWE's parent company is UFC now. They are obviously the biggest wrestling company in the world. Bloodline was your biggest storyline in 2024, so that was a big deal. They have the biggest superstars, they have the most popular, they have the recognizable athletes, and they have probably the biggest super huge momentum run of any promotion right now, heading into 2025, with the Netflix deal. So, tell me, Primo, what you think about, obviously WWE, like, it's big, like, it's big, it's obviously the big company, and, but I mean, they're thriving, man. They're making big moves.
Yeah. So I want to say just in 2023, we were talking about WWE being cold. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, there were certain times in WWE where it was just like, crap, man. I don't even want to watch Raw. I only want to watch SmackDown because at the time the Bloodline was super hot.
Mhm.
And there wasn't much going on in Raw. And that's before they had the 2 titles again. And 2024 comes around. You got obviously, as you mentioned, they got the parent company now. The Netflix deal now. They've had just a lot of changes for the better, management changes as well. And that's obviously shown through and through with multiple things, because you can tell based on the person running the company now about kind of some of the stuff that they're doing that they would have never done in the past. And it's really helping them a lot, because as WWE fans and people who grew up on WWE and WWF, we're just like, oh my gosh, they're finally doing this stuff. Like, we're hyped about it. And I'm wanting to tune into Raw. I'm wanting to tune into SmackDown. Hell, I'm even wanting to tune in NXT. So, I mean, yeah, I think that their 2024 was big, and their 2025 is just going to get that much bigger.
Yep, and as if they didn't need enough eyes on them already, a little guy named John Cena is a retirement tour, so everybody and their mama's even going to be watching. So, Dylan, what's your, what do you look at WWE as a whole right now?
I just love, and Primo was kind of saying this, I just love that I want to watch it again.
Right.
It was about this time last year, heading into Rumble season, that they got me watching everything again instead of DVRing it and watching, like you said, just the Bloodline, or maybe a match here or there. They keep talking about how it's, every city they go to, every arena, it's the highest grossing show they've done, the highest ticket sales or what have you. And I know part of that's just the price of tickets. If you look at tickets for like a Royal Rumble, they're not cheap, so that helps you get a high gate.
Right.
But the product itself, no doubt, the product itself it's been so good. Cody's been good. They got Punk back, like you said. Now Cena's back. Gunter's been killing it. Like, it's
Rhea's a superstar. Yeah. So I mean, cement themselves, obviously at the top, and they are just leading the charge, going into 2025. So, all right, next up, Dylan, let's talk AEW and ROH together. AEW re-signed with Turner. They just got a max deal on that. They got Okada and Omega, probably the two globally, probably two in the top 5, right?
Easily.
They're owned by the Khans, so they got a lot of money behind them. They are transitioning to some smaller venues for some collisions and dynamites and stuff. So I think they're doing some, smaller things to get some more, kind of intimate crowds, kind of fill up the venues a little more coming in 2025. They're the company known for, they're the alternative company. They're, number 2. They have a lot of ex-WWE wrestlers. They have a relationship with New Japan, and I feel like they have a lot of New Japan stars right now,
Yeah.
but I feel like they're picking up steam. This is the company, I think, that if you're an independent wrestling fan, this is the company you kind of probably draw to, because you're most likely to see somebody, working there and then working on a show that you're going to be at over the weekend, most likely, what I mean? So there's a little relation there with the independent fans. Storyline wise, you know what I mean? Like, they had a bunch of different ones, you know what I mean? I guess probably the biggest one, 2024, I'm going to say, is Swerve Adam Page. I mean, just because it just seemed like they put the most into that, you know what I mean? But I mean, right now, what do you see, Dylan, as, AEW ROH?
To me, it's like the things they do really well. They do really well. It's really good. It's like the in-ring wrestling. A lot of times, Osprey, Omega, Okada, pick a name. They're going to put on great matches. It is just kind of sometimes the storyline, and it may or may not hit.
Right.
I do, like you said, I like the smaller venues. It feels more intimate. I like it being a full venue. They got rid of the Friday night. What was that, Rampage? That's gone now. It's
Rampage's gone. Yeah,
just Dynamite Collision. I think I like that because Rampage had just kind of become a throwaway, afterthought.
sure.
Ring of Honor, I've had trouble getting into. They only have like one good storyline at a time, pretty much.
Right, and you gotta, and I forgot to say this too about Ring of Honor. You gotta salt it out to watch it.
Yeah.
You gotta go. Yeah. You gotta go out of your way to watch it. It's not on your TV, so you gotta go, to an app. So that's a little extra, but it seems to be a little feeder system for AEW. It seems to be, it's something for a lot of that roster to get some wrestling in.
It's a wrestling roster. It's a roster.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So So Primo, what do you think of AEW ROH as a whole?
Yeah. So, I mean, what was the big joke about AEW in 2024, right? It was, where's the crowd?
Right.
So, what you mentioned, a couple of things they're doing, for instance, smaller venues, but also moving to Max. Having that deal with Max is doing the same thing that WWE's doing with Netflix, getting a bigger audience.
Right.
They're going to start, because people that had never seen wrestling before, never had wrestling on their radar, are going to be able to see these things. For instance, as soon as they hit Max the other day, I already went and rewatched Fighter Fest. So, but yeah, stuff like that, it's going to attract viewers back to them. And you mentioned all the storylines they had. Yeah, I agree about Hangman and Swerve. This year, we're going to see more of MJF, of course, return of Kenny Omega. We already see a little bit of Kenny Omega and Osprey. What are they going to do? Are they going to get along? Situation going on. So it's exciting to see where they're going with some of this stuff. They're already starting to build some of the storylines for 2025. And I guess we'll just see. I mean, I hope that they have a better overall year than they did last year.
Yeah. All right, let's move to TNA, man. So TNA just recently got a Nesson deal. That's a New England sports network for their show to be broadcast on Saturdays from 12 to 2. So that'll help because it's a Boston area based channel. It's been up there forever, so that'll help get them some eyes on that. So, but otherwise, you basically got to go to the app to watch most of this, I believe, right? They did recently get a Sportsnet Canada deal, which is a sports station up there to run their shows. You heard me talk earlier about recent cuts. TNA, like we talked about, it's always been, number 2, number 3, number 2 at most, 3, sometimes 4 biggest company in the world. They got this idea now where they think, might try to go a little younger, and I always feel like it's just been hard to find on TV and follow. You know what I mean? It was like I had a hard time finding them, and then one time I heard they moved to Destination America. And at the time I had DirecTV, and I'm like, oh, winner! I actually have a channel that they're on, and then watched it, got into it, watched it for a while, and then moved again back to something else. So you really got to sought after it. It's like they've always kind of had that core roster, but TNA, but like AEW, they get a lot of XW superstars, and like I said, there was times when it was big, you know what I mean, and interesting, and they had a lot of great talent there, but it just hasn't been there for quite a while. But and they've had some really good wrestlers come through there lately. But like we talked about earlier, I just feel like it needs another shot in the arm. You know what I mean? I don't, for lack of a better term, I don't know other way to put it, man. They need a Goldberg, man. You know what I mean? They need a Goldberg, like somebody that's going to come on and get everybody watching, look at this freak or this person, you know what I mean? So what are you guys' thoughts on TNA right now?
I think they had that in a way with Joe Hendry and just kind of dropped the ball.
Right.
They were working with NXT and being presented as equals almost. Like Jordan came in and she won matches at NXT. It wasn't like they brought her in just to beat her. Same thing with Joe Hendry. Same thing with the Rascals. There was a moment last summer where Joe Hendry was like the hottest thing in all the wrestling, and gave him a couple of title matches, but didn't pull the trigger on it. Just had him lose. And I think they're close. It's like they just can't get over the hump. Like they get right to it. They just can't break all the way through.
Yeah.
The Hardys, the Hardys being back is cool. That's a big name for them. I do know they've been selling out a lot of their shows, so it's people are still going to them.
Sure. Yeah.
And
they're still getting attendance for sure.
Yeah, and it is live on their app now. Their weekly show. So on TV you still can't really find it, but if you want to watch it, it's available to you. You can go to their website and watch it.
Nice.
But,
Primo, you got any TNA thoughts, man? I know you were a big TNA guy back in the day.
Man, he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Yeah, so you're right on the money with that, right?
Yes, sir.
I think that you were right. He was the biggest thing in wrestling last year, and all of a sudden he's not as much. And it's not on him. It's kind of like you said, they dropped the ball on that. They didn't capitalize. Overall, though, I kind of mentioned it earlier. If they just would bring the production up and make it, I hate to say, it doesn't necessarily have to be flashier or grittier or whatever. There's just something about it that doesn't really keep people like tuned in. Right. So, and also the fact that it is hard to find. I think these days, if I watch more. If you go to Pluto TV, they have an Impact or a TNA channel. It's like it's reruns of old TNA stuff. So I think I watch it on there more than anything.
Yeah.
And half the time it's like 2007 Monsters Ball match.
Right. It's the old
So
stuff.
it's like, yeah.
Bound for Glory.
But no, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully they are able to bounce back. And, I feel like if they figured it out, they could really have a real chance against dethroning AEW as number 2.
Mm-hmm. It's there for the taking. New Japan. So they've got a AEW partnership. They've got a website is where you can catch most of their stuff. I think it's called New Japan World. I think. Yeah. So this promotion was huge, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, probably, with Okada, Naito, Tanahashi, Jay was there, Jay White, and it seems like, once the, talent happened, AEW's kind of, poached some of their bigger stars, which it happens, you know what I mean? And so it seems like they need new stars, you know what I mean? Like they need, like the older guys are we're towards the end of their careers, you know what I mean? And so like I'll be honest, I don't watch much New Japan throughout the year. I usually just kind of keep up with what's going on, seeing who has the titles and that kind of stuff. And AEW helps that out. But, what's your guys' thoughts on New Japan right now? You think it's still, a viable product? I mean, obviously it's always going to be a viable product, but like you think there's any attention on it right now?
They're definitely in a transition period. It's hard when you lose a handful of stars to either WWE or AEW every year to, keep it going strong. They're in a spot where a bunch of the top stars on the roster are starting to get older, like a Naito, like a Tanahashi, and the young guys just aren't quite there yet. They got a handful of up and coming guys that have got hot, quote in quotes, over the last year or two, but they're not to that, Okada, Nakamura, Ospreay level yet. They just don't have the reps. I watch it pretty consistently throughout the year. A bunch of the smaller shows I just kind of use as background noise, but really pay attention to the main stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like AEW, where it's like the good stuff, it's still really good. Like a main event New Japan match, it's hard to beat when everybody's at their best. And Zack Sabre Jr. is doing a good job as champ right now. It's just the lack of star power after you lose Kenny and the Bucks and Okada and Ospreay. It's hard, big shoes to fill.
How about you, Primo? Got any New Japan thoughts?
Not a whole lot, to be honest. I usually catch my New Japan news through either Reddit or highlights elsewhere. I will say I always think that, the highlights that I do see, I always notice that you want to talk about production. Production over there is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
I love the arenas.
Yeah, they're really cool. No, I don't have a whole lot to say about it because I obviously don't have as many irons in that fire.
Sure. Next up, boys, NWA. So they got the CW deal. They got you obviously can see them on YouTube. They might have goofed it up, but they got it.
Yeah, they did.
So it's a company built on tradition. You know what I mean? It's the company I grew up on. You know what I mean? It's the old school territory system. Billy Corgan is kind of doing this territory idea. It gets more eyes on the product where he shares NWA stars with local territory promotions and stuff. So I think that helps. They're usually known for having pretty long title reigns. Like Nick Aldis. Murdoch, EC3, Latimer's champ now, you know what I mean? So, so a lot of tradition based, there. There's somebody too that I think needs a big star. I really thought Ricky Starks was going to take off there, when he was there years ago as their big star, but they are maintaining, despite, they're doing a lot of shows. Attendance seems to be, doing well. But it's another one where, Power, they were on YouTube. They were, then they were on I think CW, and now they're back on YouTube. And you know what I mean? So it's, I don't watch as consistently as I hope, I'm a big Silas Mason fan too. So I'm usually kind of watching, what he's doing too. You know what I mean? So, what about NWA, man? You guys watch any of that or?
Yeah, this is one I don't get a whole bunch of eyes on.
Sure.
When they started Power, and they had Ricky Starks and Eddie Kingston and LA Knight before he was LA Knight, it was my favorite show at the time, the old school arena. And then I think it was after COVID, I just had a hard time
Eli Drake.
Into it. Yeah, exactly. Eli Drake. Having the time to watch it. And, it is cool what they're doing with the territories. I know a bunch of St. Louis people work with them when they're around St. Louis. Mm-hmm. That's really cool to see. Just people at an NWA show. Yeah. Just because of the old school vibe. That's pretty cool. Yeah. But I can't really say much about modern day NWA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I whenever Power was on YouTube, before they went to CW, I was trying to tune in when I could. I mean, it was still hard for me to keep up with what was going on just because I wasn't consistent with it. Right. I actually haven't kept up with it in a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have much to say on that matter at all. But I hope the territory thing works out well for him. I'd like to see him more. I should make it a goal of mine to watch more NWA and New Japan this year.
All right, next I'm going to group these together. I don't think any of all of us three would probably know about the same, but CMLL, AAA, down in Mexico, they're the top two promotions in Lucha Libre. You can find them on Pluto TV. That's where I watch a lot of the, Lucha Libre matches. Internet, obviously YouTube. I really started watching a couple years ago when Omega was there. He was a champ for a little while. Vikingo was because I was seeing him in Dreamwave, and so I was wanting to see what he's doing in AAA, that kind of stuff. So, but they're always going to be incredible. They're always going to, that shit is built on tradition and honor, and there's nothing ever going to phase Lucha Libre. They will sell out and do great, and thank God, for years and years. But so they're, I know it's not USA wrestling, but I just kind of want to talk about them, outside. But you guys got any notes on that?
Well, yeah, I don't have much to say other than what you just mentioned. That there at the end, it's not USA, it's down in Mexico, so
right.
They are the show in town.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're huge.
Right.
People for up here in the United States anyway, don't realize how damn big Mexico is.
Yeah.
So they will sell out those events like nothing.
Yeah, man, great.
Yeah, I can't add too much to this one. This is one I wish I had more time to watch.
Mm-hmm.
If there was more hours in a day, I'd love to watch more Lucha. Anytime I do get a chance to check it out, the presentation's always incredible. Everybody's mask, everybody's attire, all the high flying, that stuff is awesome. It's usually the breakout star whenever they come to the U.S. Like that's usually when I get to watch them, like a Vikingo or a Penta or Phoenix, But yeah, I'd love to go to a show at Arena Mexico. That'd be
it would be cool. Yeah, I always thought it'd be cool too. I'd love to be in that environment. All right, last couple of boys. Major League Wrestling, MLW. I've always kind of considered them like, like big enough company to where they gotta make the list. You know what I mean? Like, so I've always kind of, but for them, another thing, it's hard to find them. They are on reels. They've got a BN Sports deal in Canada, Puerto Rico, and obviously they're on YouTube. They're, kind of hard to find on TV. If you're familiar with wrestling, Kojima's their champ right now. So that, but I think mostly everybody remembers the Jacob Fatu run from, was great. Enzo Amore was there for a little while. Micro Man got some traction there. You know what I mean? So they got some eyes on there. But they always do great attendance, man. They always do in Chicago, always do good when they come around here. And despite not being advertising in the scene as much as the other companies, but so they're always doing good. But and then last thing, boys, I want to talk about the indies too, man. So you can catch just about any independent wrestling on Independent Wrestling TV, Triller TV, High Spots TV. I think those are basically the top three.
Yeah.
And the Midwest had a big year, man. GCW selling out, Dreamwave sold out every show. AAW sold out every show, I think, just about, if not, we're close. So the Midwest did great. Beyond on the East Coast did awesome. Limitless up in Maine had one of the biggest years they've ever had. They are on fire. Go watch a Limitless show, man. It's so entertaining right now up in Maine. Kudos to them. The West Coast, probably one of the biggest years of the indies of the West Coast has had. Defy was, they crushed it all year, man. Prestige. You know what I mean? They all had big years. So you guys got any notes on MLW or the indies, man? I think the indies, like it felt like those years we had a couple years ago when Zack Sabre Jr. was on the indies, Riddle, Keith Lee, Moose. You know what I mean? Like we had like a lot of stars that are, that everybody's on everybody's TV right now. But you guys got any on those two?
Yeah, MLW, I like it when I watch it. I'm probably 6 months or so behind on it.
Sure.
Just like I said, there's not enough time in a week for all the wrestling. But no, Eric Bischoff's working with MLW now. That's really cool to me. As far as the indies go, that's kind of my bread and butter. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
The St. Louis scene, Anarchy's hot. Glory Pro's had a handful of just incredible shows the last 6 months or so.
Right. Yeah. In the Midwest.
Like
Right.
you said, Dreamwave, maybe we're a little biased, but Dreamwave's been killing it, sold out show after sold out show. Like you said, I think Defy really kind of broke through this year. A bunch of people talking about them. You're seeing more like the international people come over to run shows. There's no matter what part of the country you live in, there's a hot show somewhere near you, and that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Primo, any MLW or indie notes?
I don't have much other than, I will say it does feel like there's a big indie resurgence. And that, I've noticed a lot more. It does feel more like it was years ago, like you mentioned. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. All right. So let's put this all in a big bow, man, and bring it up to a nutshell, man. And so I think without a doubt, let me say this, and I'm going to stand on this hill. I think without a doubt, it's time to stop talking about ratings, man. Everybody's watching all the wrestling. Just stop. Who cares? Attendance, whatever is what it is. Down one show, up one show, is what it is. Wrestling's transitioned into streaming. Streaming means more eyeballs. People binge stuff all the time. People stay on apps all day long. So everybody, so the wrestling's going to happen. More people are going to watch wrestling. It's going to get bigger. The biggest.
And guess what? You can watch more than one.
Right. Yeah. And you can love them all. And once you don't hate, you don't have to watch them anymore. The biggest wrestling match of last year, 60 million people on Netflix watched it. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, so they're proof right there.
They worked us all.
Right. That is popular. So,
hey, I'll tell you what, I was worried about the stream, about the server going down on Monday. I
do too.
I talked about this when I was a guest on the Fleshbird Air. Man, they don't want to mess with wrestling fans. They better get that right.
Right. All right, boys, let's put this in a nutshell, man. So let's smelly market wrestling as a whole right now. 1 to 10, 10 being the 1990s Attitude Era, 1 being, the worst episode of WCW, 1 being when
the Thunderdome.
Right, yeah. 1, So 1 being the Thunderdome, yeah. So I'm at a hot 9 right now, man. It's big, it's popular. I'm interested. It's gonna be a big year, man. What about you guys?
I'd probably go 9. I was in the 8 or 9 range when you were talking about it. It's not perfect. You can't go 10. There is room for improvement, but not a lot of room. It's really hot right now. And most of my complaints are just small, nitpicky stuff. It's not like there's some massive, I just can't watch this show because it's terrible type thing. It's just like, I wish they would change this or that. So I'd probably go a 9 out of 10.
Yeah. So, man, I hate to be the guy, but I guess I'm gonna go with you guys and also throw a 9 in there. I was just thinking as Dylan was talking there, how many promotions did we just name off that we just talked about?
Right.
If you don't want to watch WWE because you're dumb, then you go watch AEW. If you don't want to watch AEW, then go watch TNA. If you don't want that, NWA, and so on and so forth. So there's so much wrestling that you can consume right now with so much, and the current roster on most of these promotions is just insane. So I think it is getting to where it will be better than ever, and we will look back on it in about 10 years and be like, damn.
Yeah.
Like some of that stuff we watched back in 2024, 2025 was awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
If wrestling was food right now, it would be a charcuterie board.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to add on to that real quick, the shows that we didn't talk a lot about, like a AAA or a MLW or what have you, none of us were like, oh, I don't like AAA, that's why I don't watch it.
Right.
There's not enough time in the week.
No, we want more of it. Yeah.
I would if I didn't have to work 40 hours a week, I would watch a lot more of it.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, Primo, it's time to go home, brother. But first, let's hear a word from SportzWire Radio.
Looking for all the latest happenings in the world of sports and wrestling? Well, you're in luck because SportzWire Radio has you covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. With great shows in the world of sports, such as the Pinstripe Chronicles, hosted by Uncle Tats, Donald Stewart, and Rob Barrows. New York Baseball Talk with Chris Bazaya and Rob Maraska. The Liftoff Jets, also hosted by Chris Bazaya and Sharman Phillip. Neil Villapiano and the Devil's State of Mind. Randy Dillon's Hockey Fan Chat. In the world of wrestling, SportzWire Radio has you covered with Squared Circle Radio, featuring Chris Belcher, Andy York, and Jared Justice. Those sit-down marks with DB, Primo, AJ, and Michael. A work in progress, featuring the Mayor of Canton, Piles, and Glenn Abbott. You can catch all of these great shows and more anytime, anywhere, and any place via the Listen Live button on SportsWireRadio.org, and you can also catch SportsWire Radio anytime on YouTube at SportsWire Radio 6579 to catch all the latest happenings in the world of wrestling. SportsWire Radio has you covered. It's all sports matters and all wrestling matters here on SportsWire Radio. I am your host, the owner of SportsWire Radio, the #1 global radio station, the owner of the Promo Wrestling Federation, and one of the owners of the Pride Wrestling Federation, your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce.
Shout out to Tom Bryce, man. He had an interview with Rhino this past week.
How cool is
dope.
that?
Yeah.
Good job, Rev. Congrats to you, buddy.
That's cool. Go check that out. SportsWire Radio, man. Thomas Bryce interviewing Rhino. All right, boys. It's time to go home, man. Let's talk about some notes here on the way out the door. First of all, man, a little melancholy, sad one here. Jax Dane passed away. Rest in peace. Former NWA heavyweight champ. Got to watch a decent amount of his matches. Another guy I was talking about earlier, NWA's long title runs. He had the title for a while, but super nice guy, man. We lost one of the good ones. His personality probably outshined anything he ever did in the ring, man. Just a super cool dude. So definitely wanted to mention that. I want to say thank you to Hartenbauer for coming on the pod and hanging out with us last month or a couple weeks ago, whenever it was. It was good to catch up with him. So go check that out. Episode number 142.
Such a good dude. He's another good dude.
Yeah, man. He's been with us since the beginning, and just, and always game to come on. And I'm excited for his return, man. It's this one's going to be epic, man. I'm
always a good conversation when he comes on.
Yep. I want to remind everybody to follow us on all our social media at Sit Down Marks on Facebook, Sit Down Marks channel on YouTube, at DB on the mic on Instagram. I want to say that if you know anybody that'd be interested in sponsoring the Sit Down Marks podcast, let us know. Email me, dbonthemic@yahoo.com. We are, I guess everybody's, all these wrestlers putting out these graphics about accepting bookings, 2025.
Sit Down Marks is accepting
Dylan's, he's taking promotions, trying to get booked at shows. But we're accepting sponsors for 2025. So if you're interested, let us know. Hit us up on social media or, like I said, DB on the mic at Yahoo. So, all right, Dylan. So, what's going on this weekend in wrestling, man? You going to any shows? And what's the preview looking like? What's the big shows of the weekend happening?
I'm not going to any shows.
Okay.
I'm going to be parked on my couch because there's a bunch of great wrestling this week. We have got 3 Masato Tanaka matches.
Boom.
Pretty fired up. Tonight he's at Revolver. They got a pretty big show. I think that's happening right now, actually. So after we get done, you can flip over to Triller and check out Revolver. And then tomorrow night, Friday, he's at West Coast Pro. Check this out. Masato Tanaka versus Jake something. Modern day Mike Awesome versus Tanaka. West Coast has a huge show. Prestige has one of their Roseland shows from the Roseland Theater out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every time they run Roseland, it is stacked. In Oregon. Josh Alexander on that Prestige show, wrestling his last scheduled indie match. He's going to stop taking indie bookings. He's got a Kevin Blackwood, if I remember right, and a couple big GCW shows. So it's a pretty stacked weekend.
Nice. Excited for that. Primo, you going to any shows this weekend?
No, I'm not. I'm going to be also parked on my couch. So
There's a lot of football, a lot of wrestling this weekend.
Man,
There's no reason
I
for
gotta
us to
say,
leave really too much.
there's some football going
Yeah.
on. It's starting to actually on right now, but
Yep.
tomorrow's the big one.
Yeah. Also, one more time, we want to thank the Fresh Blurred Air podcast for having Primo on, and also for hanging out with us today and checking out the show. Thank you guys. We appreciate that. We also want to say a couple shows that we're going to be at or sponsoring. Zawa Live coming up this Saturday. The show's called Help I'm Alive in Nelson, Illinois on Saturday, January the 11th. Make sure if you're in that area to go check that out, and you'll hear from me again. But Dreamwave coming up on February the 8th. Famous Last Words already sold out, but you can watch it on IWTV. So make sure you check that out. I want to take a second, guys. I know a lot of people that are fans and they go to Iron Spirit Pro shows and that listen to the podcast. I just wanted to say that I want to thank Iron Spirit Pro for everything they did for me. I am no longer working there full time as their ring announcer. But that's not to say you're not going to see me. I'm just not there as their every show ring announcer now. There's, nothing happens. There's no hard feelings, anything, none of that stuff, nothing bad, that just, it's just, I felt it was just time to move on. I want to do something else. I don't know what it is in wrestling, but I'm just, and my kids are getting a little busy, so I need to be a little more available, but you're still going to see me at some point. This is not a goodbye definite. This is a goodbye, where you won't see me at every show. And I just wanted to come out and say this, because I know there's going to be questions, people asking, because I was their ring announcer for, I think, going on almost 3 years. And, I talked to a lot of the same people, see a lot of the same people at the shows. I will always love Iron Spirit Pro. I can't wait to be back there. I will be back. Your boy's going to be 50, coming up here in a few years. And, a few years, I wish, a few months. and there's, the clock's ticking, man. So, I'm trying to get everything I want to do in wrestling out, but I will continue to be a Dreamwave. Dreamwave is never getting rid of me. I will be there forever, until they tell me that, I can't walk my old walker down the aisle to get in the ring anymore. But yeah, I just want to just come out and, say it on the record. I love everybody at Iron Spirit Pro. I'm going to miss seeing everybody there regularly, but you will still see me. So I guess it'll just have to be a surprise when you see me. So it's just
hard
add
to
a little
miss
bit
you.
more.
You're like 6'4".
I know it is. Yeah. And I'm bald, so it stands out like a cue ball. But but I just want to say thank you to Logan. He, gambled on me being the ring announcer, and, I hope it turned out all right. So, but just want to say thank you, and just wanted to, just come out and hope you guys continue to listen to the pod, and just wanted to say thank you for the support. So what's coming up the rest of the month? Well, next week I'm going to be sitting down with the current Dreamwave Tag Team Champions, The Hype, talking about their rematch with Dylan's favorite tag team, the New Guys, at Dreamwave next month at Famous Last Words. Going to be talking about that and everything going on with them. And then a week after that, me and Primo, Dylan, right back here at least. And it's going to be time to start talking about the Rumble, man. We got Rumble talk on deck. And
love it.
Yeah, so we're gonna have that coming up, man. So that's gonna be awesome.
My
so
favorite
that's what's
time of
coming
the
up
year.
for January. Lots of things going on. The pod is booked basically all the way up through the summer, man. We're excited for what we're gonna bring to you, and like I said, we're bringing you more content in 2025. So tell a friend about us, leave a review, follow us on all our social media. I want to thank everybody for listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those, watching on YouTube, all that stuff, that you always hear me say. But before we go, boys, one last thing. How do you guys feel about the Rumble being in Saudi Arabia next year? Like,
man,
Rumble's kind of American to me, dude. You know what I mean? That's like ours, dude.
So we all, as we know, the three of us, not the rest of the marks out there, I was going to go to Indianapolis, and I couldn't because I'm having surgery next week, and I'm not going to be able to walk. I was planning on hopefully going to next year's. I'm not going to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I don't love it, but I think that's just the way the business is heading. There's going to be, when they're paying you, billions and billions of dollars, you're going to go over there.
Money
I would
talks.
assume WrestleMania will be there, soon, and they'll probably pay for like a Rock versus Stone Cold main event. So let's just enjoy it, I guess.
And we'll get to watch it at like noon on a Saturday or Sunday.
Exactly.
So that'll work. That'll work, I guess. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. So, all right, boys. Thank you guys for joining me today, man. We had an awesome day. Good to see you guys. I want to thank you guys for joining me. For Primo, Dylan, I am the Dirty Bird. Look, man, keep spreading the good word of wrestling, and we'll keep spreading it too. How about it?
That's right, baby.
All right, boys. We are Top Guys, and we are out. All right. This is the Easter egg, segment of the podcast. And a lot of people know about this one, but I'm going to let you know, Stephen Flo, I'm coming for you, dog. I'm coming for you. I got to get him.